Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of Martial Universe episode number 22 based on novel. So let's start. Darkness enveloped the vast land and the ancient battlefields. Night scene looked especially gloomy and depressing. A full moon hung high in the distant horizon. The full moon appeared to be dark red in color, as if it was covered with countless layers of fresh blood, giving one a run of goosebumps on his or her skin. The dark reddish moonlight spilled down from the sky and illuminated the vast ravaged land. Deep and low roars resounded in succession through the vast land. Amongst these roars, there existed a thick scent of insanity and hysteria. The nighttime of the ancient battlefield was the time that humans were forbidden to roam around. In the assembly point city, Lin Dong sat cross-legged in his stone chamber silently. Traces of devouring power were pervading quietly through the air. The yuan power contained between heaven and earth was pouring into Lin Dong's body steadily. As these yuan power continuously flowed into Lin Dong's body, there were faint strains of red-colored energy gathering around his body as well. Even though these strains of red-colored energy were not vigorous, they displayed terrifying speed of vibrations and gave off intense heat. These strains of red-colored energy were exactly Nirvana Chi. From a certain perspective, Nirvana Chi was much more complicated and profound than yuan power. This kind of energy had numerous miraculous applications, such as tempering and refining the yuan power, and cleansing one's physical body. However, due to the might of the Nirvana Chi, a lot of elites who had not entered the Nirvana stage did not dare to absorb it without constraint. That was because their bodies could not withstand a huge amount of Nirvana Chi. Thus, these people could only absorb and refine a small amount of Nirvana Chi at a time. Most of them used the Nirvana Chi to refine and create the Nirvana pills, which could be used for attacking the Nirvana stage. However, Lin Dong did not really bother about such concerns. After all, he possessed the devouring ancestral symbol. This allowed him to devour any forms of energy, even the Nirvana Chi by force. As the faint red glow flickered around Lin Dong's body, a fine creaking sound could be heard. These Nirvana Chi had permeated Lin Dong's skin and flesh. The blazing energy that accompanied the Nirvana Chi had increased Lin Dong's powers, bit by bit, as if a transformation was taking place. With this rate of increase in his strength, it would not take long for Lin Dong to step into the advanced manifestation stage. When that time comes, any practitioners under the Nirvana stage would not be his match. After a long period of time, the boiling yuan power around Lin Dong's body began to simmer down, and the red glow flickering around his body began to dim as well. Lin Dong's tightly shut eyes opened up gradually. In the darkness, two red glows flashed upon Lin Dong's eyes, seemingly tearing apart the darkness. However, even with such a petrifying speed, Lin Dong was not satisfied. He shook his head slightly and muttered, "All along in this assembly point, I still don't dare to unleash the full power of the devouring ancestral symbol. Otherwise, how could my reward be this little?" Lin Dong's demand for the Nirvana pills was much more higher than ordinary people. Not only did he need to prepare a large amount of Nirvana pills for himself, he also needed enough Nirvana pills to cleanse the blood-soul puppet. However, the amount of Nirvana pills that he currently possessed was far from enough for any of the two objectives he had. The nighttime in the ancient battlefield is indeed scary. Lin Dong leaped out of his stone bed and looked at the curtain of night that was sprinkled with dark reddish moonlight. There was a solemn look on his face. Under the illumination of such moonlight, he could feel that the yuan power contained between heaven and earth were congregating and caused his movements to be sluggish. Even the flow of yuan power in his body was much more slower than it was in the daytime. This was the third night that Lin Dong spent in the ancient battlefield. It had been 3 days since they arrived in the assembly point city. During these 3 days, he had not been in contact with anyone. Naturally, Mo Ling had done a great job in gathering intelligence. Hence, right now, he roughly knew a thing or two about the city. Currently, the overlord of this assembly point city was the members from the Saint Light Empire. Lin Dong had never heard of this empire before, but their strength was indeed the most powerful among all the empires here. According to the intelligence gathered, the Saint Light Empire entered the ancient battlefield with 20 participants. 7 of these people had reached the advanced manifestation stage, while their strongest member had already reached the apex of advanced manifestation stage. This was enough for them to look down on everyone. This kind of capabilities and lineup was sufficient in deterring the members from other empires to plot against them. At the same time, in order to become the overlord of this assembly point, the Saint Light Empire collected Nirvana pills from anyone who sought shelter in the city as a form of payment. Honestly speaking, this action was no different from the concept of collecting protection fees. Even though the Saint Light Empire was tyrannical in their actions, they actually were capable of oppressing the geniuses from other empires given that they were short-handed. Hence, they roped in people who fawned upon them. This way, no one would dare to oppose them. After all, everyone were not familiar with the ancient battlefield. The nighttime in this place was enough to create fear in people. If they lost the protection of the city, they would most likely end up as for the demonic beasts. Due to these reasons, the members of the Saint Light Empire were flamboyant and overbearing in this assembly point. However, most people did not dare to voice out their anger and grievances. With regards to this situation, Lin Dong kept an attitude of a bystander. During these 3 days, they also came into conflicts with the Saint Light Empire's members, but they chose to bear with it in the end. The ancient battlefield is extremely weird. If you roam around the area and train, it will benefit you greatly. Yet, if you stay here and hide, you will be a useless fool forever. Little Martin laughed as he appeared on Lin Dong's shoulder and gazed upon the dark reddish night scene. Lin Dong nodded his head slightly. With regards to this land, his mind was filled with extreme curiosity. Be extra careful tonight. I can feel that the energy contained between heaven and earth is much more stronger than usual. Furthermore, a lot of auras have appeared outside of this city, Little Martin suddenly said as he took a glance into the distance. Upon hearing these words, Lin Dong startled and his eyelids suddenly twitched. His eyes were filled with intense shock. He then looked outside and lowered his volume and said, "Is the demonic horde coming?" The demonic horde was an extremely terrifying disaster in the ancient battlefield. During the nighttime, numerous demonic beasts would gather. Then, like a locust swarm, they would destroy everything in their paths. During Lin Dong's 3-day stay in this city, he had seen some smaller-scale demonic hordes, which were easily repelled. However, the incoming demonic horde did not appear to be small in size. Okay, I shouldn't be wrong. We should be extra careful. As compared to the Great Yang Empire, the demonic beasts in the ancient battlefield are much more fierce and tough. Even an advanced manifestation stage practitioner will face certain death if he or she gets caught in the demonic horde, Little Martin explained. Lin Dong nodded his head as his eyes surged with somberness. He then looked across the outside of the city. In the distant darkness, there appeared to be numerous glints of scarlet which brought fear to one's heart. After a moment, these glints of scarlet became more and more distinct. At this moment, the vast land shuddered slightly. It was as if the entire city trembled slightly. As the ground shook, several vicious and savage growls echoed out at the same time. Instantly, the entire city began to tremble due to this massive sound wave. Meanwhile, a blood moon was hung up in the sky, while streams of blood-red moonlight poured down and added an additional vicious tinge to that demon horde. On top of the city wall, almost everyone had dashed on top of it. As they stared at that never-ending demon horde outside of the city wall, all of their faces turned extremely grim. Thankfully, most of them were fairly capable. Therefore, even though they were stunned by this sight, they did not panic. Lin Dong also leapt onto the city wall that was closest to his stone hut. As he cast his gaze out of the city wall, a blood-red hue filled his sight, until it eventually extended till the limits of his vision. Those blood-red were formed from countless blood-red ape eyes, while an exceedingly overwhelming vicious aura shot through the sky, causing the blood-red moon to be dyed even more blood-red. It was difficult for one to imagine just how many demonic beasts were gathered outside of the city. Just as Lin Dong was shocked by this demon horde, countless splitting wind sound echoed out from behind him. Then, Mo Ling and the rest quickly dashed behind him. However, when they saw the demon horde flooding towards the city, all of them involuntarily sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the first time they had ever witnessed such a terrifying demon horde. This is going to be troublesome. This time around, the demon horde is much larger compared to 2 days before. If we are negligent, the city would crumble and countless people would lose their lives. Mo Ling's expression was solemn as he said. Du Yun and Man Shan also nodded their head, while a tinge of shock flashed across their eyes. If this city was destroyed, they would lose their final shield. At that time, even a Nirvana stage practitioner would be endangered if he faced such an overwhelming flood of demons. Brother Lin Dong, what should we do? Mo Ling glanced at Lin Dong and asked for his opinion. Let's observe the situation first. Though it is a huge demon horde, we have quite a lot of men in the city. Therefore, it is not impossible for us to last till daybreak tomorrow. Lin Dong contemplated for a moment before he said, yes. When he heard Lin Dong's words, Mo Ling and the rest gently nodded their head. Only Lin Langtian's face was cold, while a venomous tinge occasionally flashed across his eyes. However, he did not speak up. Everyone, do not panic. Just as Lin Dong summoned Little Flame, on the spire in the middle of the city, several powerful auras suddenly erupted in that spot. Following which, all the elite Sacred Light Empire practitioners dashed out before they hovered in mid-air. Meanwhile, their loud roars resonated in everyone's ears. Though this demon horde is massive, as long as everyone here obeys our Sacred Light Empire, we can survive this disaster. An advanced manifestation practitioner pridefully scanned the city before he shouted out, with the Sacred Light Empire guarding this area, we can definitely defeat this demon horde. After the elite Sacred Light Empire practitioners spoke, several people immediately responded. Those people had long sided with the Sacred Light Empire, and they were purposely putting up a show in this city. With regards to the dominance of the Sacred Light Empire, several elite practitioners were unhappy with it. However, none of them dared to voice out their objections. In a few days' time, the Sacred Light Empire had already established their dominance. Of course, blood had to be spilled in order for them to do so. 2 days ago, 2 new advanced manifestation practitioner attempted to fight with a peak manifestation practitioner from Sacred Light Empire. However, that Sacred Light Empire practitioner only used a single palm attack to instantly slaughter those 2 advanced manifestation practitioner right in front of the city. After that, no one dared to challenge the Sacred Light Empire. After all, the latter's strength far exceeds theirs. Furthermore, Lin Dong knew that the man dressed in golden robes was called Xia Huang. He was also a new advanced manifestation practitioner from Sacred Light Empire. Moreover, that man knew manifestation martial arts and he was extremely powerful. In fact, most ordinary advanced manifestation practitioner could hardly match up against him. Therefore, this man was extremely arrogant. Of course, the most important thing was that he had a grudge against Mo Ling and the rest. The incident occurred 2 days ago, when Lin Dong first arrived in the city, and Man Shan was out hunting for information. As he was unable to stand Xia Huang's arrogant attitude, he involuntarily grumbled. However, he never expected Xia Huang to actually hear him. Immediately, he was embarrassed and attacked him and nearly wounded Man Shan. Thankfully, Mo Ling followed behind and managed to halt Xia Huang. However, by doing so, they also offended this Sacred Light Empire practitioner. Therefore, they were subsequently troubled by that fellow. Nonetheless, owing to the formidable strength of the Sacred Light Empire, Mo Ling could only choose to bear with it. Xia Huang stepped on the tower, while a dozen elite practitioners followed behind him. These were the other powerful practitioners that had sided with the Sacred Light Empire. At the same time, he glanced outside of the city, while his eyes were filled with a solemn expression, Master Xia Huang, this is a pretty huge demon horde. If we fought against it, we would surely suffer. Behind Xia Huang, a powerful practitioner was slightly pale as he said, what is there to be afraid of? There are countless elite practitioners in the empire gathered here. Now that the demon horde has arrived, just let them fight against. It does not matter how many casualties they suffer. In fact, after they grow weaker, it would decrease the odds of them standing up against our Sacred Light Empire. In the future, all of them would obediently become our pill slave and donate all their nirvana pills. When he heard his words, Xia Huang chuckled, Master is wise indeed. When he heard how vicious Xia Huang's words were, the other elite practitioners hastily responded respectfully. It seems like the aura, in that direction, is more vicious than the rest. There must be a few powerful demonic beasts in that demon horde. Xia Huang's eyes swept across the outer regions of the city. Promptly, his attention shifted before he saw Mo Ling and the rest standing on top of the high wall. Immediately, a venomous glint flashed across his eyes. Action, Mo Ling and the rest of you from Great Yang Empire, join the others and guard the northwest city wall. You must stop the demon horde and prevent them from entering the city. Xia Huang's cold shout sounded out in mid-air, before it echoed out in Mo Ling and the rest's ears. Immediately, their expression changed. They naturally felt that the aura stemming the northwest direction of the demon horde was exceedingly powerful. Now that Xia Huang had instructed them to head towards that direction, he was evidently trying to use these demonic beasts to slaughter them. Xia Huang, do you really think that we are your subordinates? Du Yun chuckled, fools. In this assembly point, my Sacred Light Empire is the overlord. If you dare to object, we will chase you out of the city immediately and throw you into the demon horde and let them devour you. Xia Huang's expression darkened as he shouted out, you bloody bastard, how dare you command us? What do you think you are? Man Shan was extremely outraged. Evidently, he was severely impacted by Xia Huang's words, be quiet. The Sacred Light Empire is extremely powerful, and it is extremely disadvantageous for us to clash with them. Though Mo Ling's expression was grim, He chose to halt Duyun and Man Shan, as he softly said. On top of the tower, when Xie Huang saw Mo Ling and the rest quieten down, he raised his eyebrows before he chuckled callously, snort, a pile of useless garbage. What is this great Yang Empire? I have never heard of it before. How dare you attempt to challenge my sacred light empire? Fools. When they heard his words, Mo Ling and the rest's expressions turned exceedingly grim. However, just as rage overwhelmed their hearts, a figure slowly walked out from behind them. Then, his casual words caused their hearts to tremble. That was because they knew that Lin Dong was finally going to make a move. Against such an insolent garbage, patience would not solve the problem, brother Lin Dong. The Mo Ling trio were taken aback when they saw Lin Dong walk out from behind them. Soon after, Mo Ling spoke in a low voice, "The Saint Light Empire's strength is tyrannical. It will likely be very unbeneficial for us to go against them." Although Mo Ling was extremely furious in his heart at the people from the Saint Light Empire, he knew that the latter's strength was indeed overwhelming. If they really clashed against the latter, they would be the ones to lose out. Brother Mo Ling, you've also said before that though it is admittedly needed to be low-key in the ancient battlefield, being too low-key will instead bring about endless trouble. Lin Dong's voice was calm as he replied. Upon hearing this, Mo Ling bitterly laughed. He was not being low-key. With his strength, he knew that he was not weaker than any of the advanced manifestation stage practitioners in the Saint Light Empire, but the number of advanced manifestation stage practitioners the other side had was not just one. More importantly, they even possessed an elite peak manifestation practitioner. He had seen that person act that day, and he was indeed powerful without equal. Even Mo Ling would find it difficult to contend. If put in the Great Yang Empire, every one of these Saint Light Empire practitioners would be top-tier existences. The secret arts they cultivated, their martial arts and even soul treasures they wielded were all rather powerful. The fighting strength of every one of them far surpassed that of same-level practitioners. This point alone was enough to prove that the Saint Light Empire's strength definitely far exceeded the Great Yang Empire. Hence, in the face of the powerful Saint Light Empire, it was not that they were being low-key, but they were simply unable to contend and could only endure in silence. You actually dare to say that I'm trash. However, while Mo Ling was bitterly laughing, atop the high tower, Xie Huang's eyes instantly turned dark. He stared daggers at Lin Dong as a shrilly voice sounded out. Looks like you country bumpkins are truly becoming rather ballsy. An initial manifestation stage trash dares to challenge my Saint Light Empire. Good. I coincidentally find all of you rather tough on the eyes. I'll directly kill all of you and hang you on the city walls. Let's see who else dares to be rude to my Saint Light Empire in future. Arrest all of these trash from the Great Yang Empire. As Xie Huang's stern command faded, the dozen or so practitioners behind him maliciously looked towards Lin Dong and his party. Vigorous yuan power undulations slowly spread outwards as their figures swiftly dashed forth, surrounding and trapping Lin Dong and gang. Upon seeing this, the Mo Ling trio's expressions changed. Soon after, they stepped forward and vigilantly watched the situation. The demonic horde is coming, pay attention. While the vicious light flickered in Lin Dong's eyes, Mo Ling's voice echoed in his ear. Lin Dong turned around and sure enough, the enormous demonic horde was already battering at the city walls, boom boom. As the demonic horde charged at them, countless vigorous yuan power attacks instantly erupted from the top of the city walls, directly turning some of the demonic beasts at the front to a bloody pulp. However, although the attacks from the city walls were ferocious, the demonic horde seemed to have no end. In the blink of an eye, demonic beasts smashed into the city walls one after another. The low thudding sounds seemed to slam into everyone's hearts, causing their breathing to become sluggish, raw. Scarlet-red demonic beasts catapulted up the city wall with astonishing jumping power, opening their huge mouths to reveal the sinister white fangs within as they bit at the people on the city wall. Some demonic beasts had charged up the city wall. Although they were smashed to pulp by numerous attacks in the blink of an eye, the bloody smell that spread outwards instead excited the demonic beasts below, causing them to become even more ferocious. Several demonic beasts also charged up the city wall where Lin Dong and the rest were on. However, the beasts were swiftly killed. Yet, the endless momentum caused their eyebrows to furrow tightly, bang. Lin Dong caught a demonic beast that was pouncing over with his hand as a force flew out from the center of his palm and directly burst apart the demonic beast's head. Just as he was about to casually throw it away, he suddenly felt an energy undulation. Immediately, a suction force erupted from the center of his palm as a scarlet-red object shot out from the demonic beast's head. Lin Dong caught the scarlet-red object and took a look at it, discovering that it was something similar to a demonic crystal. However, there were traces of fiery red energy within this demonic crystal. The ancient battlefield demonic beast demonic crystal actually contains nirvana energy. After tasting the benefits of the demonic crystal, an excited look involuntarily surfaced in Lin Dong's eyes when he once again lifted his head to look at the scarlet-red demonic horde. At this moment, these ferocious demonic beasts seemed to have become round nirvana pills that were rolling around. If he was able to devour all the demonic beast crystals here, he would be able to produce at least 1,000 nirvana pills. This was a rather enormous figure. One should know that the amount of nirvana pills Lin Dong currently had was only slightly over 1,000. If he could devour these demonic crystals, his hoard of nirvana pills would double. Compared to painstakingly refining them, this was truly a shortcut to obtaining nirvana pills, truly good stuff. When his thoughts reached this point, Lin Dong's foot pushed off the city wall as his body flew down from the city wall under Mo Ling and the rest's shocked gazes. A resplendent sun exploded from his body, and every time his fist swung, an astonishing yuan power undulation erupted out. Scarlet-red demonic beasts were blown apart one after another by the formidable fist force when they approached the 1-foot radius around his body. Meanwhile, demonic crystals flew out one after another before being swept into Lin Dong's sleeve and instantly devoured, transforming into threads of fiery hot nirvana energy that coursed through Lin Dong's limbs and bones, causing the yuan power in his body to become increasingly concentrated and powerful. The effect of this kind of cultivation during battle was truly delicious. On a high tower, Xie Huang watched Lin Dong display his might, as a sinister look flowed in his eyes, before he muttered in a low voice, "Brat, use all your strength to hunt for demonic crystals. When the demonic horde is over, I will let you understand that rewards of all your hard work will eventually be mine. Action, my Saint Light Empire, is the ruler of this gathering point. All if you are merely pill slaves that refine nirvana pills for us." That figure was naturally Lin Dong. Right now, his aura was several times more powerful than before. Meanwhile, the yuan power undulated on his body strengthened. Evidently, this massacre had really benefited him. Wonderful. Lin Dong waved his fists as he directly blew apart an incoming demonic beasts. Then, he stretched out his arm before it directly swallowed that demonic crystal and transformed into a trace of nirvana chi. As it coursed through his body and he felt the growing yuan power in his body, he felt extremely overjoyed as well. Right now, the entire city wall had descended into a fierce battle. As they faced such a large demonic horde, several of them began to panic. Thankfully, most of them were geniuses from their respective dynasty, and thanks to their teamwork, they were actually be able to completely guard the city wall. After all, even though the demonic beasts are venomous, they do not possess humans' intellect. Mo Ling and the two of them were guarding their respective sections of the city wall. Furthermore, while they fought against the demonic beasts, their eyes continuously turned to look at a figure in the middle of the demonic horde. Even though there was a massive wave of demons, that person was just like a boat in the middle of a storm. Regardless of how the storm raged, it would not capsize under any circumstances. Lin Dong is indeed formidable. As they stared at this sight, Mo Ling and the rest had no choice but to admit that Lin Dong was indeed more powerful than them. At the very least, if they dashed right into the wave of demons, they would not be able to last this long without showing any signs of exhaustion. Beside the three of them, Lin Longqian's face was grim as he stared at that figure in the middle of the demonic horde. Meanwhile, his eyes glimmered and no one could tell what he was thinking of. The fight was going on below the city wall. As more of them increasingly got used to the fight, and they enjoyed the benefits from that trace of nirvana chi inside the demonic beast's demonic crystal, some of the highly skilled individuals actually dashed down the city wall. However, they did not jump right into the wave of demons. Instead they chose to stuck close to the city wall and kill those demonic beasts in order to obtain their demonic crystals. Due to their fierce resistance, this demonic horde gradually subsided. This fact caused several of them to heave a sigh of relief. At this rate, they should be able to survive. This wave of demons is merely so. Just as a fierce fight was erupting around the city walls, on top of the central spire in the middle of the city, several of them stood upright. Their eyes swept across the entire city wall, just like they were royalty. When they saw that the demonic horde had been halted, one of them callously said. On top of the spire, there were a total of 8 figures. Right now, Xie Huang, who had a grudge with Lin Dong and the rest, were also at this spot. Evidently, there were the elite Sacred Light Empire practitioners. Amongst the 8 of them, there was a man dressed in green robes. This man looked extremely handsome. However, his lips were shaped like blades and they led everyone to understand that this man was not kind Buddha. That man stood right in front, and even that arrogant Xie Huang had no choice but to stand behind him. Evidently, this man in green robes was the only peak manifestation practitioner in this area. Right now, for this current demonic horde, they are merely chi creation stage demonic beasts. Soon after, perhaps a manifestation stage demonic beasts will appear. In fact, I can feel that there is an aura within that wave of demons that can match up to a manifestation stage practitioner. The man in green robes glanced at the demonic horde outside of the city, while he casually said, a peak manifestation stage demonic beast is merely so. Based on Senior Lee's ability, as long as it is not a half-step to Nirvana stage practitioner, no one can match up against you. Behind that man in green robes, a man smiled as he said, "Of course, Senior Lee is a rare talent from Sacred Light Empire that only appears once in 100 years. There is hardly anyone below Nirvana stage that can match up against him. At that time, when that beast dares to show up, Senior will directly slaughter it and obtain its demonic crystal. I believe such a powerful demonic beast's demonic crystal must contain quite a substantial amount of Nirvana chi." These group of manifestation demonic beasts that suddenly appeared naturally drew Lin Dong's attention. However, he did not panic, instead a tinge of delight flowed in his eyes. "You guys have came at the right time. I can make use of you guys to attack advanced manifestation stage." Potent Yuan power enveloped Lin Dong's body. Then, he gripped his palm, before his heavenly crocodile bone spear immediately appeared. Meanwhile, an exceedingly formidable aura swept forth. Lin Dong's hand gripped onto his bone spear, while his body directly dashed towards that group of manifestation demonic beasts. As he hovered in mid-air, he waved his bone spear before several spear shadows immediately flashed across the horizon and rained down on those gigantic manifestation demonic beasts. These manifestation demonic beasts were far more sturdy compared to the other demonic beasts. In fact, even if a manifestation practitioner landed a direct punch, it would hardly cause much damage to them. However, though their bodies were sturdy, when they encountered Lin Dong's heavenly crocodile bone spear, they became weak just like tofu. Everywhere his spear shadow flashed by, a manifestation demonic beasts would be directly ripped apart by this bone spear before they collapsed on the ground. This was a complete massacre. Everywhere Lin Dong passed by, his bone shadows flashed by as well. Furthermore, each time around, he would cause streaks of blood to spurt forth, while he continuously absorbed their demonic crystals that were filled with Nirvana chi, before he instantly devoured and refined them. As he quickly devoured them, the Yuan power in Lin Dong's body grew. Meanwhile, his aura became increasingly powerful. In fact, he even faintly showed signs of breaking through to advanced manifestation stage. On top of the city wall, the crowd stared at that domineering figure in the middle of the wave of demons, while they gasped in shock. After all, none of them could willfully rip through these advanced manifestation demonic beasts. Action, what a great earthly soul treasure. However, the commotion was simply too overwhelming. Therefore, even the figures standing on top of the spire turned to look at it. The man dressed in green robes, who was their leader, gently fiddled his thumbs while he stared curiously at the heavenly crocodile bone spear in Lin Dong's hand before he slowly said, "That fellow is merely at initial manifestation stage. The reason why he is so powerful is all due to that earthly soul treasure in his possession. Senior Lee, only you can bring out the full potential of such a treasure. That country bumpkin does not deserve it." That Xia Huang's expression was grim as he promptly said, "That kid is about to break through to advanced manifestation stage." One of them exclaimed in shock, "Advanced manifestation practitioner is nothing to me. After this wave of demon ends, ask that man to see me. I am quite interested in his heavenly crocodile bone spear. As long as he gives that soul treasure to me, I will personally ensure that he remains safe in the ancient battlefield." That man dressed in green robes gently smiled before he casually said, "When this unique manifestation demonic beast appeared, it immediately transformed into a black lightning before it dashed towards Lin Dong. Evidently, it was extremely outraged after witnessing Lin Dong massacre these demonic beasts, peak manifestation demonic beasts. As they stared at that massive demonic beast, several of them sucked in a breath of cold air. They had never expected that there was actually such a vicious existence amongst the wave of demonic beast. That fellow is truly unfortunate. While some of them were pitying Lin Dong, who was stuck deep within the wave of demons, they also knew that it was not so easy to obtain these demonic crystals. Therefore, it was time for Lin Dong to pay the price, peak manifestation demonic beast. After Lin Dong directly speared a demonic beast, his eyes also turned to look at that massive incoming demonic beast. However, he did not panic at all, instead a thick delight flowed in his eyes. After all, he knew that if he could successfully obtain that peak manifestation demonic beast's crystal, he would immediately break through to advanced manifestation stage. As the gigantic demonic beast moved closer, Lin Dong could clearly see its appearance. The demonic beast looked like an enormous devil scorpion, and its entire body was covered with a layer of scarlet armor that appeared to be extremely sturdy. Furthermore, the air seemed to be torn apart when it brandished its two metallic pincers through the air. There was also a faint foul smell coming from its pincers that were extremely toxic. Earth Devil Scorpion. As he gazed upon this powerful demonic beast, a tinge of awe flashed across Lin Dong's eyes. Apparently, he had identified the origin of this demonic beast. Even though this monster was not an ancient type species, it was still stronger than any other ordinary demonic beasts. Most importantly, this monster was only one step away from reaching Nirvana stage. Once it broke through and reached Nirvana stage, it could develop high spirit intelligence, and it might even break free from its demonic form if chance permitted so. Hiss. Hiss. The Earth Devil Scorpion's body was overflowing with a bloody aura, and a thick blood stench was spreading from its body. Its pair of scarlet eyes was filled with ruthlessness and cruelty. As it brandished its metallic pincers, blood-red gales ripped out and easily tore apart those unlucky demonic beasts that were in its way, creating a rain of blood throughout the sky while displaying terror and might. At this moment, Lin Dong stopped in his tracks holding the heavenly crocodile bone spear in his hand. Lin Dong stared tightly at the incoming Earth Devil Scorpion, which was accompanied by a terrifying and suppressing aura. This was the first time he had came across such a powerful demonic beast. As compared to the Earth Devil Scorpion, the ancient dragon ape that he encountered in the Great Desolate Province was so much weaker. The peak manifestation stage was only one step away from the Nirvana stage. If it could take that final step, it would change completely and become extremely powerful. Boom. As Lin Dong braced his spear, the Earth Devil Scorpion was already charging towards him. A brandishing pair of mountain-snapping metallic pincers was slicing at Lin Dong's body's midsection. If Lin Dong was directly hit by such a powerful attack, he would definitely get hurt. Facing the Earth Devil Scorpion, which was equivalent to a peak manifestation stage, Lin Dong definitely would not let his guard down. Immediately, his feet activated Supreme Purity Sky Wanderer steps and his body became a wisp of green smoke and dodged the Devil Scorpion's metallic pincers. Then, with a jolt of his bone spear, Lin Dong shot out a spear shadow which was thrusted towards the pair of metallic pincers with a lightning-like speed. As the spear and the pair of pincers made contact, a loud and crisp sound erupted and sparks were flying in all directions. A visible energy diffused and crushed numerous demonic beasts in the surroundings to death. What a reckless trash! How can he think about defeating a peak manifestation stage demonic beast? Xia Huang sneered while standing on the stone tower and watching this scene unfold. It doesn't matter if he dies. Most importantly, we cannot let the earthly soul treasure be destroyed. Later, when he and the demonic beast are tired out, I will take actions and kill the demonic beast. Then, I will obtain the demonic crystal and conveniently take his bone spear as well, the man in the green robes said indifferently. Ha ha, it appears that Senior Li wants to be the fisherman in this fight. However, if that's the case, those country bumpkins from the Great Yang Empire may not be able to take it. Xia Huang smiled after he heard the green-robed man's words. They can't take it. Then, we will kill them. It is a disgrace for an ant-like empire like them to come here. The green-robed man played with his thumb and said plainly in a tone that was filled with contempt. While they were talking, the area of fighting in the demonic horde was getting more and more intense. The Yuan power in Lin Dong's body was whistling. With a powerful physical endurance, Lin Dong did not collapse like what other people had expected him to do so. As the torrents of spear shadows landed on the body of the Earth Devil Scorpion, massive sparks erupted. The body armor of the Earth Devil Scorpion was strong enough to defend it from a peak manifestation stage elite's attacks. However, Lin Dong's heavenly crocodile bone spear was far too sharp. As the spear shadows hit its target, numerous spear scars appeared on the armor of the Devil Scorpion. Raw action due to the pains inflicted on its entire body, the Earth Devil Scorpion bellowed angrily. It then opened its mouth fiercely and shot out a foul-smelling, blood-colored energy towards Lin Dong, 9 destruction purple shadow. Facing an all-out retaliation from the Earth Devil Scorpion, Lin Dong's feet stepped into a rhythm and 9 savaged shadows appeared behind him in a lightning speed. Then, with a glint in his eyes, the heavenly crocodile bone spear shot out from his hand. As the bone spear shot out, it created a ripple in the airspace. Currently, Lin Dong had mastered the skill of 9 destruction purple shadow to the point of perfection. Not only could it be applied on boxing technique, but it also could be applied on spear technique. The bone spear was shrouded in majestic Yuan power, and when it collided fearlessly with the blood-colored energy, a gust of sharp wind swept up and ripped apart the blood-colored energy. Great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger, first finger imprisoning the world. As the blood-colored energy was ripped apart, an ancient giant finger materialized in the sky. Accompanied by intense pressure, the ancient finger came down from the sky with a lightning speed and blasted ruthlessly on the body of the earth devil scorpion. Bang! This attack was especially vicious. Even the enormous body of the earth devil scorpion was driven back several feet. The gales that accompanied the attack exploded several unlucky demonic beasts. Manifestation martial arts. Lin Dong's attacks had caused commotions on the city wall. Such a surprising lad. I am afraid this manifestation martial art of his is a mid-grade manifestation martial art. It's shocking to see someone from a small empire possessing such powerful earthly soul treasure and manifestation martial art. The green-robed man startled and then said interestingly, mid-grade manifestation martial art. After hearing these words, a greedy look flashed across Xia Huang's eyes. He then whispered, "Hey, Senior Li. Even though you possess such grade of manifestation martial art as well, but if you can have one more kind of such manifestation martial art, your fighting capabilities can increase another level. We cannot let this lad off." As he was talking, his eyes squinted at the area of fighting in the demonic horde. Not only was there a slight surprise in his eyes, but there was an obvious sneer on his face as well. That demonic beast seems to show signs of exhaustion. This lad appears to be quite capable. However, a filth from a small empire like him has no rights to enjoy a demonic crystal of such grade. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.